So not to be big-headed or anything, but I've been waiting to do this video for a while, and I think I'm probably one of the best people to talk about this because I sort of knew this person as a person mildly before the main points I'm getting into occurred. There haven't been that many videos about her, but there have been some here and there, like the one I saw by Lieutenant Cobra, for example, that sparked this memory of this girl. So like I said, I knew about her before her major issues that people know her for, so I can commentate on her past dramas that a lot of people from the community that she was in will remember her for. A lot of it is like a Flash Kids game related though, so if you want to skip past that and go to her now, then go to the timestamp that's on the screen now and it will take you to the drama from today and just generally now. For all of this section, there's not going to be a whole load of proof. This drama was like 3 years old or something, and a lot of the videos and in fact the channels that were involved have since been deleted. But I remember being on Twitter when I was something like 13 or so, and this was like the biggest thing that was popping off. I've double checked my information with people who were also there at the time, and they've all given the same accounts with some added details, so thank you to the people that are on the screen now for helping me out. There's a high chance these situations won't be in order because I don't have very many timestamps to go off of, but I'll try and provide as much evidence as I can, and this is just main points really. So in case you didn't read the title, this video is going to be about a girl called thicc.lauren. But back in the day, Lauren used to be called Princess Games. I'm just going to refer to her as Lauren for simplicity's sake, but understand if you see Princess Games, thicc.lauren, you know, anything to do with Lauren, it's her. Now she created some pretty interesting videos. Like it wasn't anything like horrifically bad, but she did very much so hypersexualize a kids game, which take that as you will, I suppose. She'd create videos on the game MovieStarPlanet, which I hate to say I used to play so much, like religiously. I used to create videos for that game. But she made some completely banging videos like how to get big boobs, how to have sex, and of course, how could we forget, how to get a sex toy. But even the videos that weren't sexual in nature still put at least tits on the fake pixels. Regardless of what I thought of her content, she did really well for herself and got herself a following of about 60,000 subscribers at the time. However, it must be noted that when she started making these videos, she was 12 years old. She did say for a long time that she was a year older than she actually was, so people thought she was 13, which doesn't make it any better, but oh well. Still, her and her squadron of Banana Condoms, as she called her fans, continued to grow. But some people did take issue with her content, as you'd expect, because a lot of her fans were between the ages of 8 and 18, which was the general age range of the game at that time. But regardless of the criticism she got, nothing really that major happened until around 2017-ish. Through MovieStarPlanet YouTube, there were some bigger faces. One of these was Pink Sparkles 0818 or Ava. Ava had a really big series ongoing at the time called Literally My Life, and it was a big thing for the community. If you played MovieStarPlanet, you knew what Literally My Life was. And it had a very dedicated fan base. Her channel's now deleted, so I can't really bring up much evidence, but here's a little snippet of the videos that she made. Of course, if you don't care about the game, which I no longer do, it won't mean anything to you. But who knows, maybe this will hit someone like a wave of nostalgia.
My life is beaches every single night, messy buns and Christmas lights. Literally, my life is...
Now, seemingly out of nowhere, Ava stopped uploading, and people were confused, concerned, as you'd expect. It's not like her videos were losing traction, so people didn't really know what was going on, until this channel decided to pipe up. They created a video, which is also now deleted, infuriatingly, in which they exposed the smaller YouTuber Lola as being Ava. This doesn't seem to have anything to do with Lauren, but trust me, it did. Basically, in Lauren's videos, she'd give shout-outs to her fans at the start, you know, she'd put their channels on the screen, that kind of thing. However, when she shouted out this channel, she did it differently. She didn't shout out the channel, she shouted out that specific video, which in itself might not seem like a lot, but why else would you shout out a specific video when all you've been doing is shouting out channels before this? You know your fans are going to go and want to look at that specific video. Whilst I don't remember exactly what she said, she commented in that video and gave some evidence to suggest that it was Ava. And I do remember one thing, her video started with, "Great video, but I have a contribution." Ava created this new channel to hide from people at her school because Lauren's fans had told people at her school about her YouTube channel. And Lauren insisted on posting about it still. Still, that wasn't the biggest drama in the community surrounding Lauren. Let's get into the actual thing. So at the time, there was an even bigger YouTuber who was called Your Living Nightmare, or Jess. Again, it's really hard to track all this stuff down. Jess has also quit, but she did give her channel to her friend Kyla, so you can see the amount of subs that she had here, just under his name. Now, Jess ran this team on this game known as Scream Team, that at the time completely overtook the game. Anywhere you went, you dealt with it. And Lauren decided it would be a good idea to poke at them, poke at the leaders of this team. During a heated argument with one of Jess's friends, Jake, she decided it would be a good idea to post his full name that he'd kept hidden since around 2011. His name wasn't actually Jake, but only his friends knew what his actual name was at the time. Now we know it's Kyla, it's just the channel that Jess gave her channel to. To say that people were pissed at Lauren would be an absolute understatement. People took pleasure in seeing her channel burn. But as you know, with drama, some people like to take things way too far, and they leaked her full address, her phone number, and her grandmother's phone number, and nobody really cared to stop and think about the level they were going in at her. She'd go on streams and cry about how people were calling her grandma and saying terrible things and stuff, and keep in mind, at the time, she would have only been something like 13. And obviously she was putting on this tough thought act, but she's still a kid. This seemed to go on for a while, people hating Lauren and relishing in her downfall, and her legion of super hoes going at anyone in her near vicinity. The next thing that happened is Lauren released these two videos, and they were very well received. Or they were at first anyway. I don't want to go too much into these because it contains some very touchy material, but I'll give a brief overview. So, to sum it up, Lauren told the story of how she was sexually harassed by police officers that turned up at her house after someone online called them to swat her. Now, as I said in my Madame video, I'm not one to say whether these situations are true or not. I'm very much on the belief that until definitely proven false, you should believe these things. But people began to pick up on these little inconsistencies in her story. The one I remember most clearly was people bringing up her saying this was under the Baker's Act, which is also known as Florida's Mental Health Act. I don't remember this too well because, first of all, I remember I didn't understand it because I'm not American, and I honestly wasn't that involved in this drama. The reason people were so opposed to this was because she hadn't put herself in voluntarily, nor was she showing any immediate signs of concern, and her family wasn't present to admit her either. It was random people on the internet, and people questioned the validity of this. Another thing that happened is she posted some documents that showed that she was in hospital, however she covered up a lot of key evidence such as names and stuff. I understand wanting to censor important documents, but people know your name already. You don't need to cover that. There were also parts of the documents that were left blank, which wouldn't make sense if she had gone to a hospital and someone like a doctor had filled that out. Why would they leave bits blank? Like I said, I'm not going to go further into this. It's really difficult territory for me to tread in, and I don't want to go too much into that. Now, suddenly, one day, a bombshell hit, in the form of an hour-and-a-half long from Raylan, yet another big face in the game at the time. Although again, he's since deleted this, so I've got to go based off my memory and my friends' memories. Bar a few points which I can bring up, but there's only really one point that I'd like to talk about mostly. Comments that Lauren made began to swarm the internet. And let's just say, people weren't very happy. But don't you worry, because Miss Lauren had an excuse. It was all her uncle, obviously. Calling people gay motherfuckers, her uncle. Telling kids to kill themselves, her uncle. Calling people the N-word slur, you guessed it, her uncle. And as you can imagine, this made people not like Lauren very much. A little while into some of her dramas, her uncle seemed to make a Twitter account, but people pointed out that it was probably a fake account because it was only following the accounts that you get told to follow when you first make an account, and its only ever tweets were atting other children that were in fights with Lauren and telling them to kill themselves. She lied about other things too, being homeless, for example, despite making more than the average adult from her channel alone, and then she still has her dad and her uncle's income and her nan's income. It put her at least somewhere in the top bound of middle class, which was proven in the video that Raylan uploaded, but I can't prove it here. Shame. Nice of you guys to join us back here. I hear the average viewer crying at what's the point of talking about this drama from a game, and you're right, you know, what is the point? If you're just joining us now, I'm talking about Princess Games, but we're going to be referring to her as thicc.lauren or Lauren, or any name that has to do with that, you'll see what I mean. After dropping this gaming industry that she had become somewhat of a hit on, she decided that she would make her fame by becoming an Instagram thot at age 14. And you can see why this is a bit of an issue. Her Instagram got banned, but I can still bring up bits from her stories. And you'll see even some of the tamer posts were hypersexualized. Again, at this point you can see she was still 14, and even she acknowledged the overt sexualization of everything she posted. Now, keep in mind, this is just the tamer stuff. She posted a lot of photos in her underwear, which I'm obviously not going to put here since she was, 14 years old. In case you don't believe she was, here she is saying it herself. But as you'd expect, with posting such images of herself and having such a deluded thought process surrounding her own postings, came the slew of people wanting to capitalise off a young girl purposefully exposing herself to the world. I'll put my cock in the middle of your boobs and squeeze them hard till I come in that sexy pair of lips. And then you will orgasm, and it will be sexy. Moan for daddy. Fucking hell, thanks. Now I feel like I need to wash my mouth out with soap. And my parents are in the other room, so they're probably going to question me about that later. The problem being, Lauren relished in this. In fact, she actively defended the older people that hit on her by saying they aren't paedophiles because she has the body of an adult. Would you consider older guys that are into you paedophilia? Just interested? Definitely not. A paedophile is an adult, a person 18 plus that's attracted to prepubescent children. I started puberty at age 9 to 10, and I currently look like an adult body-wise. Paedophilia. Sexual feelings directed towards children. Child. A young human being below the age of puberty or below the legal age of majority. The age of majority in Florida is 18. Attracted to children. You, Lauren, are a child. You're 14. You are not 18, regardless of what you look like, and it is paedophilia. She continued accepting and in fact encouraging comments like this, and when people tried to actively warn her, she'd shut them down. Granted, the way they warned her was a bit skew, for lack of a better term, but it is the point that counts. She continued to actually defend people. One post she made was quite interesting, in my opinion, because it really shows that she doesn't know how much works. By the logic she's putting forward, yeah, it's not sexual exploitation, but the problem is the things that come from that. From dick pics from random men to sexual fantasies of a child, right the way to horrible comments. You're putting yourself in a line of danger, and Lauren never seems to notice that. This is evident when you look at her messages with people. Look at this video from Lieutenant Cobra that I said about earlier, where he messages her and she defends everything and anything he puts up. It's really interesting, actually. I really enjoyed watching it. Since at this point Lauren doesn't seem to have social media except maybe Snapchat, and if she does, she's lying quite low. Her Instagrams are all banned or deleted, as is her Twitter. Her YouTube's nearly at a year mark without uploading, and it seems like this is where it all ends. Okay, well, hi, it's me from about 4 days in the future. I found out that Lauren does still have a Twitter, and oh my god, it's worse than I thought. Not only is she posting promiscuous pictures, which we've already established by now, she is straight posting videos of shaking her tits for the camera, which obviously I'm not going to show because, again, she's a child. Asking for money from weird old men on Cash App, and being perfectly fine with grown men using her tits as their cover photo. And yes, I'm leaving this guy's Twitter handle on here. Deserving. Honestly, Lauren, you're better than this. You're still a kid. Please just go and do things kids your age do. Go play Fortnite or plan a sleepover with your friends. Anything but this. You've been pulling this for so long. It's time to stop. You're going to put yourself in such a line of danger, and you yourself have said this on multiple occasions, so take your own advice. So I wanted to ask, would, if by any chance people end up actually watching this far, you like me to keep up with this more matter-of-fact commentary style with a couple of opinions scattered in here and there, or branch out to a more humour-based satirical one in which I'll commentate on less over-the-top dramas and more just little things, you know, like knockoff Memulus or fake Leafy, you know? Let me know, I'd love to hear some thoughts.